Hey guys, welcome to World of Tanks. Today we've got a couple of replays for you in the AMX 1375. Now, scout replays are something that I'm not really able to do on my channel by myself because I am, well, let's just say not the best at scouting, but all honesty, I want to give it a go now because this user here, Taktarov has sent in two replays that I think are going to be really beneficial with some good and bad moments in both that we can all use to learn from in our playing scouts if we are that way inclined. The first mistake made in this game is not made by Takatov. I'm just going to call him Dave. The first, yeah, I'm ripping off the Mighty Jingles, so be it. The first mistake made is not made by Dave, but instead that E25 who decides, hey, I'm going to suicide because that seems like a great idea. So he does that. Good job on Dave for not just chasing after him. You'd be surprised how many people just think they must support their teammates no matter what, and that's really not the best plan when your teammate runs headfirst into, you know, how many enemy tanks is that? At least two. There's definitely more there. Now, as Dave keeps his outlines for me, he is taking some very opportunistic shots in his AMX 1375. He's poking out as far as he is, like to there, because he wants to make sure that he's spotting anyone who tries sneaking around into that dip. But he gets well, caught off guard really. He isn't able to get back into cover fast enough, and the T28 prototype puts not just one but two shots into him. The first shot is understandable because obviously he was trying to get shots off and he didn't know the T28 was there, but he was just taking too many risks at that point. He was also, you'll note that the turret is on the back of this tank and he was still driving forwards. That potentially wasn't a very good idea. What it meant was more of his tank than needed to be was exposed. Apart from that, he's now being able to put some very great fire into the Lorraine as he's able to support the M4A1, and now he's able to push back around, and you know, driving out in front of the T28 prototype here is the not very smart move at all, so I'm glad he doesn't do that. Now he does, as you'll notice in a second, make sure to watch the map. That M4A1 is now dead, and he's going to spend the next while focusing on this Oni. If you look at the map, you can see that there's the risk of a Jackson coming around, and that M4A1's dead. He can't do anything about it, and he's still standing here thinking, okay, let's pump some shots into the Oni, which granted he does manage to do. He gets a bit of damage, but that shot there, that third shot in the clip and the fourth were never going in, and that almost cost him dearly because here comes the Jackson right as he's fired his third and fourth shells. Now if the Jackson knew exactly what he was doing, which he kind of must have because he knew to come around at that point when Dave had already fired his shots, but at the same time he let Dave just get around the side of him and didn't even try putting up a fight. So either Dave damaged one of his modules or he just wasn't good enough to make sure Dave couldn't get the rest of the shots into them that he did. Now he makes a smart move here in not going towards the front of the enemy, and another smart move in making sure he takes out the more threatening of the target first. And what that does is it means that tank, granted it probably couldn't have got its turret around to shoot at him in time, but if it could, that was the one tank that could easily do enough damage to one-shot him, so he made sure to take that tank out of the game, which is definitely a good move on his part. And he comes around again. He doesn't just stay in the line of fire, because that M4 may choose to switch his fire from the AMX to him because he's an easier target to kill. But he doesn't. He gets back out and is able to come back when he's not under threat and get his fourth kill. Now that makes 1700 damage in this game. He's not had a perfect game, but once he made those initial mistakes, which you really need to be careful for, when you're playing a tank where you're being as opportunistic as in an AMX 1375, that you mitigate your risks as much as possible, and he did that really well from after taking those first 2 shots, and that's allowed him to put fire into the enemy tanks without getting shot at much in return. And at this point he's just cleaning up damage. The Fury had no idea he was there, and he was just taking shots at, I think, the Tiger P, and now all that's left to do is kill this enemy Tiger P, and that is basically the game. The game is basically over already. This team is, unless this Tiger P is going to take on 5 tanks on that much health, and he doesn't seem to be all that good. I mean, he's got 5 kills, but he's not moving forward fast enough. He's sticking out with his rear. He's had enough. And yeah, that marks the end of quite a good replay. Not too many mistakes he made, just really the tunnel vision and poking out too far was his main mistakes that he made. But we're going to see a few more, in some cases very comedic, game errors in the second game. So let's go check that out now. Okay, so now here we find ourselves on Overlord for the next game, where Dave is going to take a bit more of a scouting role, I suppose you could say, for a majority of the game, but he also proves what benefits this tank could be in terms of fire assistance. Now, he uses a very good but also risky tactic here in knocking down this tree. It's very good because it obviously gives him cover, and he's able to stick out and not get spotted by these enemy tanks until someone does spot him. But he's also able to get away quickly because he has his tank turned around backwards, so he's able to easily make a quick getaway even though he's in the line of fire. Speaking of fire, that was a great hit he got there on the KV-2. Now there's a KV-1 just sitting out there in the open, and the mistake he makes here is, oh, look, that was too greedy a shot. He shouldn't have stayed up for that long. There could have been, who knows how many tanks just sitting there waiting to take advantage of this stupid light tank that's sitting out in the open. Luckily, he gets away with it, so that's very good. Very good, very goodly. Very lucky, I should say, not very good. But now he's able to come back into the cover again. He's not got any shots in the KV-2, but he's mainly being eyes for his team at this point, so he doesn't really want to get spotted. Now there's a T-34. Can he get shots off on him? No, he can't. Oh, here he comes. Gets 1 shot off, 2 shots off. Debates whether he should go for a 3rd shot, but it looks like his tracks eat him. And a 4th shot. Luckily, again, he doesn't get damaged. Now, something that I'm not sure if he notes at this point is that KV-1 that you can see pushing down the 7 line is indeed pushing up into the middle. Now, I'm not sure if Dave actually notices him, because he comes up and tries looking for the T-34 again. Now, he's probably focused, okay, I can get that T-34 down, but he almost pays for it dearly, because now the KV-1 has a jump on him. He's put 1 shot into the ground, he's able to get a 2nd shot, put a 3rd shot, 2nd shot in, 3rd shot, but that looks like it's eaten by the track, and then, oh, that's not good. He doesn't realize the building is not destructible. Luckily, that E25 there, in the contrast to the E25 from the last game, is able to come to his rescue, and then another tank comes up, the T-34 from before. Luckily, he's on very low health, and the E25 is able to rescue him there as well. Lucky escape there for Dave, indeed. So now again, he does find himself on relatively low health, but you could also argue that he's lucky to be alive. His team are also lucky to be alive at this point, because obviously they're not, they're not doing alright, but they're not exactly in great positions over on this flank over here. We've got a Tiger P, and then the E25 and Dave himself is the only people who have come over. Everyone else has either died or not come here in the first place. But what he does show a great second use of this tank, which is fire support. That Tiger P was probably pretty screwed before Dave showed up, but he's able to come up and add in a 2nd line of fire. Everyone else is worried about the Tiger P, but him and the E25 are able to come and put shots in from a different angle, and that causes indecision. They're like, oh, who do I shoot at? And the Tiger P survives. Now this is also another thing that you need to take aware of that Dave has informed me of when he sent in these replays, and that's you need to make sure you can plan your next move, make sure you've got cover, and that's exactly what he's done. He's decided I can go take on the Hellcat, because he can get into a position over here where he's shielded by that mound on the right from all other enemies, and the Hellcat on its own can't really defend much because he can just circle him. He comes up, I'm not quite sure how I feel about that, given that the Hellcat was pretty sure where he'd be aiming, and he almost gets a shot on, but luckily, oh no, he's left him on 2 health, but the Hellcat misses the shot, and he decides he gets rammed to death by a light tank, which doesn't look too good. Granted, the Hellcat isn't exactly the heaviest or most well armoured of tanks, but you got rammed to death by an AMX 1375, mate. That's not too good, if I'm honest. So now it's 8-8. The team scores are very even, and probably the biggest challenge for Dave this match has arisen, and that's there's an IKV-90B, the tier 7 Swedish tank destroyer over there, on not quite full health, but he's got a pretty significant amount of health, and would be able to deal with Dave pretty swiftly if Dave was to go over there and engage without planning ahead, which is what he's currently doing, waiting for the IKV to get into a position where he's either distracted by another enemy or he's able to take him out without taking damage, because currently it looks like he's looking this way, and so it would be suicide for him to go out now, especially before his team, who are moving up, arrive. And that's exactly what happens. You've got a tier 5 light tank over there providing, did I say light tank? I did. Tier 5 TD, the tier 5 Swedish in fact, that's providing just a distraction that Dave needs to be able to get around behind this guy, and while he gave his life, the TD gave Dave the opportunity to take out probably one of the most dangerous tanks on the enemy team, besides the KV-2 of course, because that thing can just hit everything, because Stalininium, insert Stalin communist joke here. Oh, okay, you're not laughing, I understand. Now, also, just moving straight on from that awful joke, Dave has the problem he's running very low on ammo. He's only got 3 regular rounds left, which isn't that good if he comes up against a tank where he needs to get as much damage off as possible, because he's only got a maximum of 3 shots before he needs to unload, and that's assuming that he hits and penetrates both of those shots already. He's playing it quite dangerously, because as you can see on the map, all of the enemy tanks are around here. There's still a T-67 that hasn't been spotted, so he could be anywhere around here really. Yep, he's been spotted. Who's gonna shoot at him? How many tanks has he got to deal with? He spots one, the T-67 takes a shot, then the T-3485 pops up as well, and so does the Hellcat. He's got 3 tanks at least, possibly 4 depending on where the KV-2 is, to deal with, and his teammates are all still far away. And not only is T-67 pressing, he fails his first shot, and now he's only got 2 left. Personally, I would think while the T-67 is worried, I would have gone for a full reload here, especially now after he's wasted another shot. He tries to get one more shot off, but he can't, and he wastes a lot of time here not reloading. And I think with the reload on this tank, obviously it's an autoloader and it's got quite a long reload. If any of those tanks decide they want to push him, he's got no defense whatsoever. Sure, he could run away, but he'd go right into the fire of almost certainly one of the other tanks, so that's probably not a good plan. Granted, they're probably not all the best of players, they're hiding at the back of the map, but I mean the T-67's got 3 kills to his name. He decides, is he going to come up? Is he going to come up? He can 2-shot this guy, so just slightly over 1 length of his reload, but luckily he misses, Dave doesn't, and he's able to put a shot in to finish the T-67. He eats the shot from the T-3485, but that thing doesn't have enough damage to kill him in 1 shot, so he's now on 89 health, and oh crap, that looks like the KV-1 KV2, sorry, is aiming this way, or maybe that was the back of his turret. I couldn't quite tell. But, okay, no, he's not. And he's dead. Dave successfully mitigates a lot of risk again in that game. He also gets lucky. I admit that wasn't all skill. He was very lucky not to die in that KV1 incident with the broken building that wasn't actually destructible. And in the end, he finishes the game with 3,000 damage, which isn't bad for a light tank where people think, oh no, I've just got to scout the whole game. Ah. Anyway, after that weird impression of idiot World of Tanks players, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more, and even more importantly than inflating my ego, what I want you to do in the comments is contribute to the discussion. Tell me your tactics for whatever tank you love to play, send in your replays, comment on why I did really good or did really bad in displaying this replay. I want to know whatever you guys have to say, whether it's positive or not, so I can help to improve my channel and, you know, cater better to you guys and also just generally make better content. Because while I obviously like making content that I enjoy, if you guys are enjoying it too, then I'm going to enjoy it a lot more. Until next time, guys, I'll talk to you later. Stay safe on those battlefields and comment below with an outro, because I really don't know what I'm saying. Bye.